Harry and Meghan decided to go on their most recent pretend royal tour together. Australia, where the egos have landed, will deliver the verdict. Additionally, I will soon make an exclusive revelation regarding the unfiltered coverage of this significant existential moment for the royal family. Disgusting false tears at Bondi Beach, exploiting a terrorist crime to promote her pathetic apparel, these two are doing just what they claimed not to want to do. They abandoned the royal family for this reason. Meghan Markle yearned for that. Naturally, she should be referred to as the Duchess of Sussex, Her Royal Highness. You know, once you establish a precedent for taking titles from individuals who bring disgrace to the royal family and the monarchy, I would contend that it is very easy to make an argument. So why wouldn't you treat Harry and Meghan the same way? Leave them alone. It's possible that you are acting out of a sense of obligation. Additionally, it appears to me that they are devaluing royalty. In my opinion, royalties are now quite inexpensive. It has turned into contempt. Additionally, if this is permitted to occur, I feel as though I have no obligation to do anything about it. You have a connection to the individuals you are attempting to assist, thus there is no use in doing it. The gloomiest pair in Earth's history, Harry and Meghan, renowned, gave up their royal responsibilities in favor of a private existence. They departed Great Britain's Goldfish Bowl. In retrospect, I believe Harry undoubtedly feels regret. Since he no longer expects an apology, I'm sure he regrets it. He feels bad about the way he attacked his family, the obvious desire he now has to return. He longs for Palestine. He seems to be eager for a reunion of some sort. Josh, do you have strong opinions on the royal family? They always have something great going on, but I haven't really kept up with it. William and the King's bond has only grown stronger as a result of the conflict between Harry and Charles. They've never been more intimate. As I watched this tour, I would be incensed because I would say, how can you? This was the whole point of the Sandringham summit. It's impossible to have it both ways. Either one or the other is required. Let's begin with the world-stopping moment, Sydney's Bondi Beach. A few months prior, an anti-Semitic mass shooting claimed the lives of 15 innocent people. Families are still in mourning. Moreover, Meghan Markle was present, one tear, rolling cameras, blinking eyes, and a superbly sculpted cheek with the left eye sliding down it, that she was pretending. It was an acting position, for the cameras, that is. She is indifferent to the Bondi Beach casualties. On the opposite side is her, the curtain separating us. The last thing I would do if I were to visit Bondi Beach following a horrible incident is go for a pretend stroll. I most definitely wouldn't be grinning and laughing. After watching the video, Piers Morgan expressed what millions of people were already thinking. This was not sadness, it was a show. Despite having covered the royal family for more than 20 years, Piers told his panel on Uncensored that this visit of Australia was something he had truly never seen before. Harry and Meghan decided to go on their most recent pretend royal trip together. Australia, where the egos have landed, will deliver the verdict. Additionally, I will soon make an exclusive announcement regarding how uncensored this will be covered. Significant period in the royal family's existence. An excellent panel. Two individuals are utilizing a massacre scene, sick children, homeless women, and misery as a backdrop for their online clothing sales. The most frustrating aspect is that King Charles is taking no action at all. Piers is not merely irate, Piers is calling for action. It's also quite difficult to disagree with him in light of all that transpired in Australia this past week. As the resident defender of everything that Harry and Meghan cannot protect, Tessa, I can see that there is something about them that may have been a huge value to the royal family. Without a doubt, on the day of their marriage I wrote that. The Moes wrote a lengthy essay about how wonderful they could be for the royal family, but people tend to forget this. Then everything went wrong. I'm not going to relitigate all those years of souring. It deserves all the attention it is receiving, so let's revisit that Bondi Beach scene. Meghan didn't simply show up. From beginning to end, this was planned. A survivor wasn't just there to wait. The precise perspective was not unintentionally captured by the cameras. It was horrible, in my opinion, that she was even considering going to Bondi Beach when she suddenly became concerned about an anti-Semitic Islamist terror assault. In any case, I felt sick from the phony tears. Meghan stood there acting out sadness for a catastrophe she had spoken nothing about when it had occurred, despite the fact that this play was planned, staffed, and illuminated. When 15 people were killed at one of the most well-known beaches in the world, there was not a single remark, post, or show of support. However, cameras were now present. There was an audience now. An outfit needed to be promoted. We are aware that you did that. Is that Meghan's hardest acting role to date? In addition to this footage, which makes it quite evident that she was acting, however, Meghan is the total opposite when you turn to look at her. She is currently grinning because, as was previously mentioned, she is making money off of the clothes she is wearing. She is wearing a dress that costs $1,200. She is wearing her Christian Dior heels. Because even Meghan's most patient supporters finally lost their cool over this particular point. Before she had even left the site, the outfits she wore to Bondi Beach, a memorial, and a meeting with atrocity survivors were published on her AI purchasing website. Click. Purchase. Own the same attire Meghan wore to squeeze out that one well-managed tear. Meghan converted a massacre site into an internet shopping mall, according to royal pundit Tom Sykes, who is renowned for being kind to the Sussex family. It was a disgusting neglect of duty, he said. As a human being, not as a royal, the last thing I would do if I were to visit Bondi Beach following a horrible incident is go for a pretend stroll. I most definitely wouldn't be grinning and laughing, let alone posing in the outfits I intended to sell later, and she did just that. And Tom Sykes is disgusted, even though I believe he is one of the individuals who is fairly fair to the Sussexes. This really disgusts him, writing on the Royalist his Substack. Meghan just transformed a massacre site into an internet retail center, but when you are meeting people affected by an anti-Semitic mass shooting, making a quick buck off the event is a revolting dereliction of one's duty, really shouldn't need to be said. Not as a royal, as a human, he continues. Piers continued, you could tell everything from the blinking. Blinking quickly and deliberately, the eyes of someone who isn't truly feeling anything but is instead attempting to create dampness. The simplest way to describe it was by one commentator. Meghan's most challenging role to yet, this appears to be a royal instrument, nevertheless they will be coining it in over the weekend. And that's the main issue I have with this. However, Harry cannot be unrealized for a prince. A prince is a prince forever. Andrew has just been completely unrolled by them, and following that terrible school tragedy, this woman paid Uvaldo a visit. They arrived, took a picture at the memorial, and then departed. Even those who had previously given her the benefit of the doubt are now referring to her as a disaster tourist because of this well-established and regular trend. Following the shooting, she traveled to Yaldick, Texas, to visit the underprivileged neighborhood. Who does she believe herself to be? She believes herself to be Princess Diana. She has always believed herself to be Princess Diana. She sees herself as a hybrid of Michelle Obama and Diana Spencer, offering consolation and relief in any circumstance. Piers stated that on television. Danica Dorgio, one of his Australian panelists, made the statement, "Live. It ceases to be opinion and becomes observation when individuals from 3 different continents independently come to the same conclusion. Mr. is partially funded by taxpayers." And Mrs. Grifter's fake royal visit in Australia. Yes, months after that fictitious trip to the Middle East, Meghan Markle and her extra purse Harry are travelling to Australia for the most recent episode of the Sussex soap production. Why are they coming now, you may wonder? That's a really good question. Meghan had that horrible sourpuss face the entire time they visited in 2018, so I'm not sure why they're even bothering, and then asserted that she and the spare left the royal family as a result of the visit of Australia. If Bondi Beach was the tour's moral low point, then the Her Best Life retreat was its business high point, and Piers was struggling to control himself. This is the genuine nature of the retreat. Using her position as Duchess of Sussex, Meghan Markle charged Australian women thousands of dollars per to spend time with her at a purportedly transformative wellness event. The Intercontinental Coogee Beach building served as the site, however the building is still under construction, there is no proper ballroom and the scaffolding is still in place. Tickets were never sold out. The actual grift of the trip was her best life, isn't that right? Because she is genuinely requesting thousands of dollars from true admirers in order to spend time on what was essentially a high-ass alcohol cruise. She doesn't bother to remain, though. She doesn't remain there, Pin. She leaves as soon as she can to go play rugby with Harry. Since these tickets never sold out despite the couple's lies, you know what, if you are charging that much money P. Dare on your name, she could have definitely stayed at this event. In my opinion, this simply demonstrates how willing she is to take advantage of the few people who do support her. Meghan Markle was unable to fill the 300-person venue in a nation of 26 million people. Additionally, the women who made the payment gave up what many would consider to be weeks' worth of pay. Meghan spent 122 minutes with them before deciding she needed to go somewhere more crucial. She went outside and went to see Harry play rugby. Piers just sat back and stared at the camera because this is the same woman who had a multi-million-dollar Spotify contract, a $100 million Netflix deal, a primetime seat opposite Oprah Winfrey, and the world's attention. With Netflix, Spear, and everything else, they have got the chance to earn millions of dollars. If they had actually traveled to Lutu and done something to replicate that charity or the work they were doing, I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind if it was solely charitable. What they're doing seems inexpensive to me. What they're doing, in my opinion, is intimidating and might overshadow the royals because it relates to the current talk across the Atlantic. So why is a royal family necessary? 122 minutes, 300 seats, couldn't sell it. The collapse is astounding as well as embarrassing. And the monarchy is harmed by that, and we are witnessing that. There are rumors that William and Catherine's next trip may be to Australia, so I believe that's what we're witnessing with this tour on the eve of a very significant US visit that's huge for the monarchy. This simply removes the gloss, doesn't it? What exactly is this tour? I've taken a lot of these royal excursions, so I don't know what it is. They were dropped by Spotify. Netflix separated itself in public. It was evident from that heartbreaking Vanity Fair article that Hollywood is over these too. The money ran out. The market in America shut down, so here they were, utilizing Australia, a nation Meghan once claimed she detested traveling to, as their final source of income. Piers stated it simply. It's not a career shift when you go from having a $100 million streaming agreement to failing to sell 300 tickets in a partially constructed hotel ballroom. Collapse is the term for such. United turned left and right at this point. That put Meghan Kelly and Trevor Phillips in a similar situation that forced William and Catherine's acquaintance to testify. Yes. For a long time, she doesn't even bother to show up. She leaves as fast as she arrived, after all, and in my opinion, that reveals everything about this woman's true nature. Given Meghan Markle's personality, it is reasonable for those who paid this sum of money. The fact that you paid this money to see her doesn't matter to her. She simply doesn't care and wants to make her money and get out as soon as possible. Harry and Meghan went to a hospital for children with cancer. Children undergoing chemotherapy and those with weakened immune systems are fighting for their lives in the most precarious physical condition a human body can be in. In order for Meghan to pass them slowly, they were arranged in a queue and carried out into a hallway that resembled a receiving queue. Everything smiling, touching, posing is captured by cameras, William's friend and Catherine expressed their opinions to journalist Richard Eden. Young cancer patients may wind up serving as props to generate revenue for the Sussexes. The monarchy is in grave jeopardy. According to the Daily Mail today, he is the one who came up with the concept of Operation Thaw, in which members of the establishment, including Boris Johnson, are attempting to make it more acceptable for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle to make a permanent return to the United Kingdom. As Harry and Meghan put on a royal show down under as rumours of the couple's return to Britain swirl, he writes on this Diner today that the establishment plot develops, and he reveals the anxieties within Catherine and William's camp. What we are seeing shows why the Queen, as in Queen Elizabeth II, was right not to allow Harry and Meghan to mix money-making with royal duties, he wrote. According to one of William and Catherine's friends, young cancer patients may wind up looking like props to help the Sussexes make money. The public has to understand that royals attend engagements out of a feeling of responsibility rather than as window dressing for a profitable overseas tour, as this poses a serious threat to the monarchy. Piers was glowing. When the footage began, his panel sat in almost complete quiet since the pictures convey more than words can. Then came the information that made it really indefensible instead of just problematic. The same day, Meghan's AI shopping platform featured the attire she wore to the Children's Cancer Hospital. While the kids she had just visited were still in their hospital beds, you could purchase it. He continued to sell her own clothing at the scene of a tragedy that claimed 15 lives. Meghan may find this easy, but like any right-minded person, I find it repulsive. Tom Sykes, good job. I also do. The clothing she wore to a children's cancer hospital were displayed on the platform earlier this week, and I considered it disgusting. After that, Meghan changed before putting the outfit online and attending a veterans arts event later in the day. Why not go all out and set up a trailer in the parking lot to sell jam crepes? How foolish they were to disregard the Queen's advice to avoid trying to mix a life of service with a life of profit, and how smart she was. Later that afternoon, she changed for a veterans arts event. That group also went online. For years, Piers has stated that the underlying issue isn't it true that Meghan and Harry broke away from the royal family? The issue is that they took everything that made them valuable before leaving. The implied royal support, the titles, the access, and the ongoing use of those assets as money. Based on what we have witnessed over the past 2 days, Meghan and Harry taking advantage of every chance for a picture, I would guess that Mr. and Mrs. Grifter Piers have come to Australia and are effectively using us as a cash cow. This is a PR stunt. They really do adore a camera and a microphone, don't they? The hospital visit established it beyond a reasonable doubt. This was not altruism, this was not a service, this was the production of content. The kids served as the props. This picture perfectly encapsulated Meghan Markle's current situation. Once able to get a $100 million Netflix agreement, the woman actively asked to make an appearance on Australian Mastered for free. The most amusing thing about this Piers is that they claim to be only 2 private citizens who are visiting. In the past few hours, Meghan has been revealed as a guest judge on the Australian version of MasterChef, which is a culinary competition. She will now be yes, she didn't charge any money, she volunteered herself, and even so, she had a long enough list of demands to force producers to comply. She insisted on closing the comment area. MasterChef declined, thus Meghan's group purchased fictitious bot accounts. There are no postings, only a few followers, and new identities with names like Root for Good to shower the comments with compliments. In a matter of hours, viewers were taking screenshots of accounts that were so blatantly fraudulent for comedic effect. However, she didn't have to pay a dime to get what she wanted. Meghan Markle was able to secure funding for her vacation with Harry from both a charity and the Australian government. All of this is Harry's fault, not even that trendy getaway hasn't sold out at that motel of crap. No, it's the government of Australia, because she constructed fictitious accounts to post complimentary remarks referring to herself as a princess. This woman never learns. I won't keep you waiting. Shall we just have a look at the comment section? Some of the most amazing home cooks the competition has ever seen are guided by Meghan. You shouldn't miss this MasterChef series. Incredibly conflicting. The box is about to arrive. Take a look at the name, Root for the Positive. Yes, of course. Root for the Positive. One follower is following 50, yet there is no post. God, I'm so thrilled. The actual remarks were harsh. There were calls for a boycott of Mastered. Longtime viewers declared they would completely avoid her episode. The term getting mauled, which refers to having your reputation tarnished by association, became popular. She walked 2 steps in front of everyone in every picture, wore black to a food show, insisted on not being called Meghan, and became enraged when a host mistakenly referred to her as Meghan Markle rather than Duchess of Sussex. Piers linked this to the trip's most revealing detail. She received no compensation. She did not receive an invitation. She inquired. She pretended to be doing MasterChef a favor when she appeared in a nation where she isn't especially welcome on a show that she would never be offered in America. Hollywood anticipates her arrival. She flew 10,000 meters to locate a smaller pond where she could still act like a large fish since the doors were now locked. King Charles is the one who permits the misuse, abuse, and denigration of a regal title. Because the aim of the 1994 Trademark Act is to prevent Harry and Meghan from using royal titles for commercial purposes, King Charles can simply do what the Queen did. Next was the Warriors game, and more than any other moment, this one eliminated any remaining presence. Harry and Meghan showed up on the stadium's large screen. Piers had a contact on the ground who provided video and verified the exact events. First quiet, the flat, uncaring silence of an unconcerned audience, then alcohol, which was audible, distinct and clear but not wall-to-wall. Meghan and Harry were aware, the recalibration was visible to you in real time. As a result, they pretended to wave at parts of the audience that weren't responding. I asked him directly, were there boos when this moment was shown on the big screen? Indeed there were, he said. However, he claimed that the silence alone was what was truly most fascinating. From a couple drinks, no chairs were present, no interest was shown. Have you noticed that? Yes, I did. Harry and Meghan were therefore aware that there wasn't much of a commotion surrounding their presence. Naturally aware that they were being watched and that this was essentially a photo opportunity, they attempted to turn it on. Thus, the crowd was given fictitious waves. Then we got the required PDA, which Harry was coerced into simply to get the pictures, and this is once more my unique film from within the ground. And then the PDA, which Piers's source described as obviously contrived. Harry bent closer, Meghan got it. The entire trip has been like that, so the cameras captured it flawlessly. One long, tiresome photo shoot for a dwindling audience and a media that, after years of patience, is finally beginning to express clearly what it sees. At this point, Piers Morgan becomes enraged instead of frustrated. We now have information from reliable sources inside Buckingham Palace that King Charles has not discussed taking Harry and Meghan's titles away. Nothing. The palace's stance is that in spite of the hospital, Bondi Beach clothing sales jeers, and the fact that everything that transpired in Australia directly violated the Sandringham Summit Agreement and everything Queen Elizabeth spent 70 years constructing, the organisation must accept the setbacks and carry on. Piers won't put up with this. He produced the Andrew argument, and it hits harder than before this time. I've always stated that Andrew's transgressions against me are considerably worse than anything Harry and Meghan have done. I wouldn't say that now, and I've never stated anything different. The harm he has caused, the way he lied about his relationship with Epstein, and his refusal to testify under oath, in my opinion, are all on a different level. The commonality, though, is that if you disrespect or dishonor the monarchy's or the royal family's reputation in any way, there is now a system in place to revoke their titles, as was the case with Andrew. And many British voters in the polls agree with me rather than you. Prince Andrew lost all of his titles without ever being found guilty of a crime, lying about a friendship with a convicted pedophile and refusing to assist investigators were his offences. Devastating and unjustifiable. However, Andrew never once referred to the royal family as racist in front of a worldwide audience. Never pennied a 400-page book dissecting every member of his family. His clothing was never sold to a children's hospital. There is a precedent. There is a mechanism. Piers is requesting a genuine response to a single question. Why wouldn't you do it to them if you could do it to Andrew? Regarding this Australia tour and everything Harry and Meghan are doing at the moment, a former close friend of Queen Elizabeth told the Daily Mail something that should be heard clearly. She made every effort to prevent this from happening. The late Queen was aware. Years before the rest of the world caught up, she saw it. You can't be in and out at the same time. You cannot sell retreat tickets and Instagram outfits using the titles and implied authority of the crown. Cancer patients cannot be lined up for content and referred to as a service. You can't put the outfit on your shopping platform before the cameras stop while you're crying at a massacre site. Rollings. According to Piers, Charles must cease being the kind person that everyone knows him to be. William's had enough. The future king observes his brother and sister-in-law using his grandmother's life's work as a promotional tool. And the man who has the ability to put an end to it continues to turn a blind eye. King Charles will soon make a state visit to the United States. A trip to New York, a speech to Congress, an occasion that colleagues and all reputable royal analysts are characterizing as make or break for the monarchy's reputation around the world. And he is entering that journey while Harry and Meghan's disastrous trip to Australia is playing non-stop on all screens worldwide. Additionally, I believe you are aware of his character traits. Additionally, he is forgiven and a very kind person. Completely forgiven. I was unable to comment earlier, but one of you mentioned that William would be more inclined to want to make the cut. To sort of put an end to things and move on. Because of his nature and character, the king will want to make things right and will frequently offer opportunities to do so. And the reason this is challenging, in my opinion, is that Harry is, with all due respect, a bit of a loose cannon. And the king will hear that from all of the advisors. I promise it. That the king will want to try to make things work and will want to forgive them due to his nature. He'll want that, you knows. More than anything, most likely. Piers ends where he always ends on this topic, with a question the palace won't respond to, rather than just with rage, even though the rage is perfectly justified. When will a father's hesitation to take action against his son be outweighed by the harm these two are causing to the monarchy? Given everything that transpired in Australia this week, the fake tears, the sick kids, the unsold retreat, the jeering, the bot accounts and the clothing, that point isn't arriving. It's here already.